well, all my sisters have claimed to have experiences with the paranormal world, but there's a specific story that's really striking to me. My sister Kylie has claimed when she was young, and I can remember her telling me this story. She was about 7, 8. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, she was about 7 or 8, and she had just gotten her ears pierced not too long ago at the time, and she lost one of the studs. And they couldn't find it anywhere. They had no idea where it went. And this one morning, she's eating her cereal, and at the time in our living room we had carpet. And going from the kitchen to the carpet, there's like a little kind of hedge area that transfers into the floor, so you can lift up the carpet a bit, if you know what that looks like, or you can imagine it.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So she's eating her cereal, and she claims that a voice told her in her ear to go down to the floor and pull back the carpet and see and see what's underneath. And she did it, and her somehow her the stud from her earring was right there.
Wow.
Yeah, and when my grandfather and my grandmother asked how she would, like, what would make her or possess her to look under such a random spot, she said, "Oh, the voice told me."
Oh my God, creepy! Fuck that. Spooky.
Yeah, that's some real life spookiness for you.
Oh man.
Another big story. I don't know if you know this, but since you've been to my house in North Park, it's relevant for you as well, because now you've seen my home or where I come from. And I guess in the, I want to say 70s sometime, there was a horrific plane crash, and the plane, I don't know, something happened, and it basically fell out of the sky, but it landed in the dirt lot, just like a couple houses down from where we go and record.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, and I think everybody died on board. And at the time, my grandparents have owned that house for so long, like probably over 50 years now. So yeah, my grandmother was there at the time that it happened, saw it coming down, heard the crash, was out in the middle of the street. I think she claims she doesn't know where it is now, but she actually has a piece of the plane somewhere.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah. So. There was like, supposedly, of course I wasn't, this was before my time, so I wasn't alive at all yet, but there were supposedly body parts everywhere in trees. There were some roofs taken off by the wings. Some people were killed in their houses. It was a big thing. But anyway, the point of me telling you guys this story is that my block or that entire street, that neighborhood is notoriously haunted because of that.
Oh wow!
When my mom, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, was there any like body parts or anything in your guys' property?
I don't know. I would have to talk to her about that again, but she's the one who told me. She said there was arms and legs and stuff, and like trash cans and just laying, and just like laying around pretty much, because when something like that happens, there's an average response time before that you can get somebody out there to help, like tape everything off. Yeah. And so everybody, of course, came out of curiosity. So I'm sure a lot of people saw things that they shouldn't have.
Oh man, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. But kind of piggybacking off that story, my mom claims that she, when she was younger, she would hear everybody would be asleep in the house, and she would hear distinct crying and couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and then it would just kind of vanish. And they swear that it's because, you know, these people lost their lives, or they're still like wandering around. You know what I mean? Like residual ghost, which is, I feel like that's very interesting. Another big thing.
That's creepy.
Another big thing that happened to my grandmother. I don't know if she has like some kind of sixth sense or something. It definitely seems that way. You know, a good amount of time after that happened, I think they put on a record. They had a record player in the living room at the time, and she drops the needle, and you hear she could hear the broadcast, like in, I don't know what it's called, the kind of, the broadcasting on what sounded like the plane that fell.
No way.
Yeah, it was somehow playing over a record that had nothing to do with that.
What the hell?
Yeah, and that once she stopped it, she tried to play it back, and it would not play back that rate.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, give me goosebumps, man.
That's the point. That's the point. I want to make this a good episode.
Oh man, you got me.
Yeah. And since these are shorter ones, I can let me share a couple of my own.
Okay, yeah.
My own ones. So, you've been in my grandparents' house. My old room was an extension of the garage, which was kind of like a guest room. That was my bedroom for so many years, and I'm sure being in there, you can imagine that it's kind of creepy to be out there alone in that room at night or whatever, because there's not a lot of street lights in my neighborhood. We have a big backyard. It's very, very dark when, out there, and So anyway, I've had a few experiences in that room. I don't know what it is about it, but so one of them is, I had to be maybe like 19 or 20 when this happened. So I was definitely of age, but I was laying on my bed, and I had the remote in my hand, and I was like half asleep, pretty much falling asleep, right? And all of a sudden, this something like smacked the shit out of the remote out of my hand, where it went flying into the air, man. And I saw it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was very, very weird. And it was like I don't remember sleeping. I didn't go to sleep for a while after that.
I can imagine.
Whatever it was, it liked to bother me while I was sleeping, because there's another time that I was asleep or falling asleep, and we have these kind of, how do you say, like little cabinets on the side of my bed that's in there still.
Oh yeah.
And they have like these door knocker things to pull out that are very kind of heavy and distinct. They make a distinct sound when you move them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like door knockers, if you can imagine that. And all of a sudden, one of those door knocker things just start going crazy and smacking against the wood by itself.
What the hell?
Yeah, and it was the way because I lay on my side when I sleep, so I'm facing this, and I watch it happen.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would never. I'm never gonna go in there.
Yeah, dude. I've definitely seen a big, shadowy figure at the end of that bed when that's why I sleep with the TV on because of that room now, or it's very very hard for me to go to sleep and sleep in a dark room because of growing up in that house. But yeah, like I said, I've seen a big kind of silhouette person stand over me at the end of the bed before, which I know we're not supposed to talk about them, but that's what is said that shadow people do, which is scary, like the whole sleep paralysis thing. That's happened to me before. I don't know. What's another big one? Again, going back to my sister Kylie, we have an attic that goes up into. It's not an attic. It's a crawl space attic. You can't stand up. In there, but for a while they would go up there because we're a creepy family. My sisters would go up there to read, and kind of get like peace of mind, I guess you would say. And so they'd go up there to read. And this one time, because my grandmother has this crazy collection of like little dolls and China dolls. And, super creepy stuff. That's all. That's all up there in the attic, right? And my sisters, or Kylie, went up there and she was alone, and she there was like this little doll. I'm sure it's still up there, and it played. I think it played the tune "Happy Birthday." You know those like little things that you can spin on the back, and then it'll play a chime thing. You know, like a little,
like crank,
crank a little tune. So it would play the "Happy Birthday" song, like all creepy, like ding 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 type of deal. And my sister was like, "Oh, like this is tight. I'm gonna make a ringtone out of this like song." So she pulls out her phone. It was like a flip phone at the time. This was years ago. Yeah, and it had a little record. You could record sounds and make them ringtones. So she was in the middle of doing that, and when she played it back, you could hear like the clear as day, somebody whistling along with the tune. What
the hell?
Yeah, and she's like, "That was not me, man. I was completely quiet because I was trying to make this ringtone, and I can hear somebody over the chime, like the tune, like instinctually, like whispering, or you know what I mean?"
Yeah, oh, man, gave me goosebumps again, Wes.
So yeah, that's a few of the ghost stories, man.
Oh man, those are creepy, man.
Hopefully you can still sleep tonight, man.
Oh yeah, I was just with all the lights on, of course. Oh man, those are some pretty good ones.
Yeah, you think that was good?
Oh yeah, those are good. Oh hell no. God damn it.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff happens in North Park, let me tell you. Do you have any? You don't have not even one that you want to share? Can't top that. You can't top it.
No, they're not. I mean, they're not like super creepy. I mean, there's one that my grandma told me at their old house in I don't remember where it was, but she was like washing the dishes or something, and there in the kitchen there's stairs that go up to their room, and she could hear someone sounded like someone walking on the steps, and she thought it was my uncle just walking up and down the stairs, or just trying to spy on her or something, and she heard someone like whisper something behind her, and her name's Linda, and she heard someone just whisper like Linda,